In today's episode of YK3 Musing, let's venture in the past to discover, does equality actually exist?
Life's not fair.
That's not fair.
I'm sure I've heard of it. It's not fair, or life isn't fair. The haves and the have not are thorn of human existence. But have you ever thought about why there is such inequality? Well, it's because equality doesn't exist in its fullest essence, only in context. What do I mean? Well, let's take a look at equality and, by extension, equity. If one was to borrow down to the deepest part of the earth to discover something valuable, in this case, equality, we would presuppose that everything will exist, function with the same measure, quantity, amount, quality, status, and nature. But it's unrealistic, as antithesis of equality is order. Order, you see here, is all about hierarchy. It presumes, it always states that there's something or someone that exists before and is greater or better than something else. That's the way I have something like first and a last, a president, vice president, a parent, and a child. There is always a hierarchy that exists. So with that said, to make it more digestible, equality is making sure all things are objectively equal, such as everyone has free speech. But equity is making sure things are subjectively equal, meaning all have freedom of speech except about certain things like the government, so on and so forth. Let's use a few examples to illustrate this. Can you name of any type of relationship, whether living or non-living, that is totally 100% equal or 50-50? Nope, it doesn't exist. There's none. But wait, what about symbiotic relationships, in which one or both individuals or species are dependent on each other for survival? Typically, they come in four forms. One is mutualism, where both species benefit from the relationship. The second is communalism, where one species benefits while the other is not harmed or helped. Third is parasitism, where one species, the parasite, benefits and the other, the host, is harmed. Or you have, for the last one, aminalism, where one species is harmed and the other is unaffected. Now let's look at crime for a minute. Shoplifting, burglary, embezzlement are contextually equal because they're all a crime of theft. But is the punishment the same for each? No. Depending on jurisdiction, it all will vary. Let's take the geopolitical landscape. Headquartered in New York City is the United Nations, a collection of 193 countries that exist to foster and maintain international relations in tackling issues like peace, human rights, etc. Though this coalition exists among these countries, only 5 countries have veto power to block a resolution. That is China, France, Russia, the United Kingdom, and the United States. So contextually, they all have a say in a matter, but it doesn't mean the equity of power is truly the same. Because of military and economic might, some countries will have more power to sway an issue. So going forward, how do one deal with the inequalities of life? One, you have to accept the natural order of things. There's always an order, there's always a prominence. You'll always have a creator and the created. There'll always be a parent and a child. There will always be someone or something smaller and larger than something else. Though it requires 2 persons, a male and female, to make a child, there'll always be a naturally stronger bond between a mother and a child. This is life. The fight for parity, equality, would always be an uphill battle. It's just going to be tough, sometimes at the expense of unimaginable pain and even death. I mean, slavery would still be prominent if persons like William Wilberforce and Frederick Douglass had not championed for the abolition of slavery. If it wasn't for persons like Susan B. Anthony, one of the leaders of women's suffrage movement, women would not be able to vote today or hold a political office. If it wasn't for Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, there'd still be segregation between blacks and whites. How far life has come for parity. It comes at a cost. So in essence, folks, though equality will always exist in context, there are always exceptions. I mean, human beings all have emotions, we have a soul, we have the ability to think. But the greatest proof of equality, irregardless of context, is that all human beings have access to a God that can take your burdens. That's amazing. Well, I hope for today you were revived, reformed, and elevated to be a better person. Until then, peace.